What's happening, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Fight Words. Anthony Sanfilippo is here. I'm Bob Wankel. Anthony, Phillies are in the midst of spring training. Well, some remaining Phillies are in the midst of spring training. The Flyers are making trades. You got 3,000 things going on this morning. What's going on, man?
It's crazy. Like I knew today was going to be busy because of the NHL trade deadline, and I do have to head over to Voorhees after we're done here. But I thought to myself, like, we're going to record in the morning. We'll be okay. It won't be anything that comes down till after lunchtime. And then, of course, literally just as we're about to start the show, the Flyers made a trade. So, of course, I will be. I'll have to cut this one a little bit shorter than we thought initially. But I wanted to get one in because next week I'll be heading down on Tuesday. I'll be heading down to spring training, and I'll be down there for 8 days. And so we're going to get some firsthand conversation about the Phils. But I wanted to kind of catch up on some things, over the last 10 days or so since we last did a show. I thought it'd be kind of cool to just catch up with you and kind of go over some of those things and look ahead to what we got coming up.
Oh, first of all, Flyers having a big day here. Is this going to be a good trade deadline? Sell, or what are we doing?
Well, they are selling. But they made a hockey trade this morning. It was a 1-for-1 deal, player for player. And they traded from a position of depth, which is the wing. They traded Bobby Brink, and they got a defenseman back, David Jiricek, who was the 6th overall pick a few years ago. So it's actually a good trade for them. So,
okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing here at the moment, 2 weeks into basically now spring training games, we have the World Baseball Classic going on. Let me just ask you the simple question. Anybody that's listening to this show right now would want to start here. How you feeling right now based on what we've seen and what we're hearing about Zach Wheeler's development and coming back from this injury? We feeling like pretty good right now, or are we still like, hey, Phillies, call me in October? Like, where are we at?
Yeah, look, I'm always of the mindset, Bob, that spring training, as long as nobody gets hurt, spring training is good. I don't put stock into anybody who's having a really good spring training, and I also don't put stock in anybody who's having a really bad spring training. I just, hey, get out there. I like to look at, pitchers where's their velocity at? Like that's kind of something I want to look at, right?
Sure.
Hitters, are you seeing something a little bit different and what their things that they're trying to do, their approach at the plate? Are they trying something different? Like things like that, like I find interesting. But actual results, it doesn't matter to me. Like I don't really care about the results so much.
Well, okay, let me go right here then. The one thing that if you've been watching them or if you've been following what's been happening down there is I don't know where else you go but second base. Bryson Stott has been fantastic this spring. And I know that there's been some swing changes. And I would say I don't put a whole hell of a lot like you into spring training performance. And I don't want to get crazy here. But I look at the way that he finished last season, really, from August onward, and the momentum that he built. He hit almost 300. And he was the player that you've been waiting for him to be. Obviously, they protected him in terms of platoons and the whatnot. But here we are now. This is a big year for him. And it's a big year for him in terms of how it's going to shape the Phillies lineup. But it's also a big year for him in his career and what he is and what he's regarded as, I think, moving forward. I kind of believe, and I tend to slant negative and I'm predisposed to kind of question things. I think I might be buying the Bryson Stott hype right now.
Yeah, I will say this. You and I have kind of been on the Bryson Stott bandwagon for a while. We really, even in the past when he struggled, have we been critical? Sure, but we've always kind of believed that there was something better there. It wasn't like, he's struggling and this is what he is and just, let's move on from him. Yeah, it got to a point last year where it was like, hey, he better show up soon or else. But at the same time, that belief has always been there. And so it's good to see, I guess, he's tearing it up in spring. That's great. But it's good to see that there's carryover, that what we saw the second half of last season might not have just been he got hot for a couple months.
Yeah, let me just give you some numbers here. And again, I know that there was a platoon situation here and there was some protection and you didn't see a ton of left-handed pitching. And I don't know what that's going to look like this year. I assume that they'll probably roll it out the same way, at least in the early going. But you go back to August 5th of last year through how he finished the season. And I mean, he played 46 games and 149 at bats, 166 plate appearances. He had 315 with a 380 on base percentage, had an OPS that was knocking at 900. I mean, look, I know that you can grab random samples, and we've seen him go through hot stretches before, and then we've seen him go ice cold. And I'm not saying that he's going to be immune to inconsistency moving forward, but I just look at the way that he finished, the way that he's come out. I'd like to believe a narrative, a storyline here is that he realizes that he's at a crossroads in terms of what his career could be. And I just think maybe that he puts it all together. And the reason why I bring this up is because it really fits into a greater question about how you frame the Phillies coming into this season. Like, you go around the diamond, you go around what this team is, and you say they won 96 games a year ago, and whether or not you believe that they really were going toe-to-toe with the Dodgers and could have won that series and they were really the second best team in baseball, whether or not you believe any of that, the question that I've had a hard time reckoning with here this offseason is, where are they better? Where are the Phillies better in 2026 than they were in 2025? And we've talked about this, and you go to the bullpen and you talk about maybe there's a little bit of an upgrade in right field, maybe, but everyone's a year older. Is Schwarber going to be the runner-up for MVP? Is Wheeler going to be Zach Wheeler when he gets back? There's so many questions, right? And I think that one of the places that we've overlooked is, can Bryson Stott be better, like meaningfully better?
No, I agree with you. And it's funny because when you look at the team as a whole, like, I'm not sure that there's a position where they got worse, right? Like, like they're either the same or better, I think, everywhere. And when you look at guys, and I include some players who've been here before, because like I look at Bryson Stott and I say they should get better production out of him for a full year as opposed to what he did for the full year last year. Yes, he was better in the second half. I do think you're going to get a better version of Bryce Harper this year, for example, right, than you had last year. I do think that you're going to probably get, and we're going to talk about Aaron Nola, but I think you're going to get a better Aaron Nola, obviously, than what you got last year. May not be back to the old Aaron Nola, but you're going to get better than a 6.01 ERA, right? So there are guys who've been part of this who are going to probably be even better than they were last year. And I think that that's why, you sit there and say, well, oh, it sucks that they're running it back. And I get it. But I think that, really the only place that it's hard to even say it's a downgrade because I don't think it is. But to say the only place you can sit there and go, are they going to get the same production they got last year? Center field. You know what I'm saying? And just because it's different, you got a rookie out there as opposed to the end of the year, you had a guy like Harrison Bader who was having his career year. So, like, I don't know. Like, I look at the team as a whole and Bryson Stott as a big part of the reason why I think this. And I sit there and go, they're right there again, Bob. They're right there as the next best team in the National League behind the Dodgers. I'm just on that, and I'm sticking with it because I look at everything, Bryson Stott included, and say, they're either the same or better than they were a year ago when they were the second best team behind LA.
All right. Well, I think one of the places that you wanted to go with this was Aaron Nola. And so let's talk a little bit about Aaron Nola. And you mentioned the 6+ ERA a season ago, and he can't possibly be this bad again. And if you listen to this show or the previous show that we did, the different iterations of it, where I've always stood on Aaron Nola. It's fine. It's good. It's okay. It could be better. You've tried to paint, I think, a more favorable picture. And I'm not saying that's not warranted. Like, you see the value in Aaron Nola more than I think a lot of people do, frankly. I don't think he's going to have a 6+ ERA next year or this year. I actually want to start here. It's really weird when you look at his splits from a season ago. Like, we know that he was hurt and we know that it was a nightmare for him in the first half. But I just want to give you a little something here. Those first 9 games, in the first half prior to his injury, opponents hit 295 against him. They slugged over 500. They had basically a 360 on base percentage. It was a disaster. In the second half, his numbers are still his like high level numbers are still really bad. Like he had a 5.84 ERA in the second half when he came back, as opposed to a 6.16 ERA in the first half. And the first half was 49 innings, the second half was 44. It's like the same sample size, and it's super unproductive, right? But when you look at it and you go a little bit deeper, opponents at 295 against him with a 356 on base percentage in the first half. Second half, they only hit 234 against him with a 288 on base percentage. Like, they did damage against them, but people weren't getting on base against them the way that they were in that first half. Like, his numbers, especially in September down the stretch, were much better. So I don't think that you can just look at this and say, oh, well, you know, it's Aaron Nola. He's an established veteran. He's got to be better. It doesn't always work that way. It could quite frankly be just as bad. But I think that there are some numbers there at the end of last season that suggest that he might have found a better place, better footing. And then what we saw from him the other day, I thought was equally encouraging.
Yeah, and you know, again, I guess that one's more. I don't put stock, like I said, don't put stock in even good stuff in spring training. But I guess that one you could sit there and say is a little bit more encouraging.
I think it's different. It's not about the line. It's about, hey, you're sniffing 94 in early March.
Yeah, it's two things. It's the 94 for sure, and then if you want to compare, you sit there and saying you're going up against a Team Canada team. It's actually a pretty decent lineup. So it's not like you're facing a bunch of minor leaguers, right? Like you faced a bunch of guys who are regulars in Major League Baseball for the most part in that lineup, and you went through them for 3 innings. So that was, you know, that's fine. Look, who knows where Nola is? And Joseph Karmazin just put this up. I was about to just talk about this. He said, I think the expectation.
I would sign up for that.
Nola's between 3.5 and 4. I think it might even be a little bit higher than that. Like if it's 4.2. Like, and he's your number 4 starter now.
Well, I have a note here. I said I was going to do an over-under at the end of this conversation. 4.3 was my number. Yeah. So we got 3.5, and he goes 165 plus, 170 innings plus.
That's huge.
I'll take that in a moment, like in a heartbeat.
That's huge. No, but I think 4.2, 4.25 is probably, you know, about what, you know, I would have said. So you say 4.3, the over-under. I'll go slightly under. I think it's slightly under that. But for a number 4 starter, that's totally fine because, you know, obviously we won't know what Wheeler is officially until he comes back, but there are encouraging signs. And if he is back and he's himself, that's awesome. We know what Christopher Sanchez is. We're going to talk about Jesus Luzardo a little bit later, but there's a lot to be excited about with him too. So Nola's your 4. If he's giving you a 4.25 ERA as your number 4 starter and giving you 170 innings, you're taking that and you're happy with it, and your team's better because of it.
For sure. Okay. I want to get to a couple quick things here. What were your impressions? I know we're almost a week out and it's been covered and talked about, but what were your impressions of Andrew Painter in his return to, you know, whatever you want to call it, the return to spring training action after 3 years?
Yeah, look, for him, I think it was good that he had 2 good innings, right? But it's 2 innings. Like I don't make him a lot out of it. He's pitching again tomorrow, Saturday. That'll be his second start. I expect he'll probably go 3 innings in that start. And then I'll get to see him, I think, next Friday, I think would be his next start after that. And so I'll get to see him when I'm down there, and I'll have a better assessment of him then because they might stretch him out to 4 innings at that point.
Well, so my question is, like, when you take an established veteran and you say, like, I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock in what we're seeing here, fine. But with him, obviously everything that he does is going to be
under the microscope.
Under the microscope. Yeah. There's no question. What I'm trying to figure out is, like, if you said to me, like, hey, I think he's going to make 25 starts this year and he has an ERA that sits somewhere in the mid-3s, I would say, like, that's great. That's totally fine for a guy that they've pegged as a number 3 type guy. What I'm trying to figure out is, like, is he special? And, you know, for years we were told that he was special, like Verlander special. And I don't think you can evaluate 2 innings of baseball. I saw all the charts after his appearance, and, you know, the shape of the fastball isn't as what it was. And okay, like I cannot put 19 pitches on March 1st and say, like, that he's not what he was 3 years ago when he was thought to be special. But, like, I would like to get an answer on that. Like, I would rather, I don't almost care about the numbers this year so much as like, I want to get a feeling of like, is this a number 2 guy? Is this a future number 1 type guy? Like, what are we working with here? And I don't know that it's a slam dunk that he is a top of the rotation guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he's still got that ceiling. I think that ceiling still exists. But you're right. Maybe it's not. And where we thought prior to his injury a couple years ago that it was a foregone conclusion that that's the path he was on, now you might sit there and go, maybe he's a 2. Right? I mean, but I don't think it's gotten to the point where it's like, oh, this guy's not going to be good.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen some of that. I've actually seen some like he's ordinary. He looks like he's just a guy. Like I don't see that at all.
Yeah,
I just don't see that at all. But I don't know that. Yeah, I remember like you go back. What was it? The Twins he started against back in 23 in the spring.
Yeah.
Well, it was Correa, right? After the game was like.
I remember. I gave you my login to watch it.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. That's right. And we're like, all right, this is great. Like this guy's legit. You know, Carlos Correa comes out and says like, this is a guy here.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of curious, like, you know, if we could make that assessment, then if 4 starts into spring training a couple of weeks from now, can we arrive at that and have a sense of what it's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a better idea. And like I said, I watched 2 innings on TV and this first start of spring. I think it was good for him that it was kind of uneventful. Like that was good for him, right? And like I said, tomorrow and then next week we'll start to see a little bit more, and I think we can have a better assessment at that point. And even then, when I say a better assessment, I'm not even certain it's anywhere even close to 50% complete on the assessment. I just think we have a little bit more information to work off of. What does the fastball shape? Did it change at all? Did he add any velocity? What does the secondary pitches look like? Right? Like, well, you know, are there progressions happening here as spring training is going along? And if there are, then I think you feel better about it. If they're not, and you kind of, you know, hit a wall or you regress, then I think then we can start throwing up some red flags. But until we have more data, I just think it's kind of like, hey, you know, this guy's going to be the number 5 coming into the season, and we'll see what happens.
I want to talk to you about Jesus Luzardo, and I know that you got me a message and you said he was sort of on your short list of things to talk about today. I don't know what direction you want to go with this, so maybe I'll allow you to introduce him. But I have some things on him that I've been thinking about and would love to talk about.
Well, we've talked about Luzardo in the past, right? And he kind of grew on me late last year.
Dude, I love him.
Yeah.
I do. I think he's going to be lights out this year.
Yeah. Well, there's some stuff. I mean, obviously he's a contract year.
Yeah.
That matters, right? But he grew on me late last year. Like, so he gets off to that tremendous start, and you know, we're talking in May, like early Cy Young conversation.
And people be like, oh, just the end of May, you can't be talking about Cy Young. And then he goes out and he blows up, right, against the Brewers, and that undoes all of it. Like at one start ended all of that.
Yeah, it did. It did. And then there was some inconsistency for a little bit, right? In the summer, he would have a good start and then a mediocre start. I mean, he didn't have the blow up starts again, but he was just a little bit all over the place. And then he seemed to kind of get it back together again right at the end of the year, like in September. And you start to think, all right, maybe that was just the downslope of the roller coaster for this season. But then what he did in the postseason against the Dodgers, he shoved and he shoved hard, and he didn't care. He didn't let his emotions get the best of him, which had happened a couple times during the season. And that showed me a lot.
And that's the thing, right? Like the stuff is awesome. He looked great the other day, the way that he finished last season. But I look at it from the mental standpoint, because one of the things that I was asking myself in the middle of last year when he was going through those inconsistencies was like, does this guy have the head for this? Like, it felt like he was unable to stop the bleeding. He was unable to almost at times compose himself, like where you could see the frustration be so visible that you wondered, like, hey, man, like, can you harness it? Like, can you put it all together? And when things don't go your way, can you figure it out? Can you meet the moment? And that's when you look at like, you go to October and you see the way that he performed. I mean, he was just remarkable. And I don't think you can ever again say like, oh, here's a guy that I worry about from his psyche, like his psychological aspect. Like To me, that box has been checked emphatically. I wonder where this goes now. Like, where does this go long term? I really do believe, like, you put me on the record here, we could play this back in July. I might sound like an idiot. It would not be the first time. But I really do think that he's going to pitch at, a level in which you look at the short list of Cy Young contenders come August. And I think he's going to be on it. I really think we're going to get that type of season from him so long as he stays healthy. What does that mean? And feel free to push back on that, but I really do believe that he's about to do something where we go, oh, damn, like this is different. This is special.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Bob. I really think that he's going to be, and we talked about this too. If we go back to one of the off-season episodes that we did, and the question was, who are the most important Phillies right now? And we did I think we did top 5, and Jesus Luzardo was in our top 5. Mm-hmm. Like out of all the players, like he's in that list. He's a dude now, right? He's a guy. And this could be, if you go back to 24 and the year Christopher Sanchez had, where he kind of like, arrived a little bit, right? And you're like, yeah, like this is a good pitcher. And then last year happened where he was number 2 in the Cy Young race. Last year we saw the good of Jesus Luzardo. Is this that year where it's like, okay, now he takes that big step and puts it all together? And I think I think it's really possible. I think it's really possible. And if that's the case, Bob, and then you get Wheeler back. And look, I Rock Philly puts this in our comments, and he says, Nolan Painter, decent. Wheeler back in May. Sanchez, Luzardo. Phillies will have the best rotation in baseball.
It gets interesting, like it does. And you talk about the lack of depth right now, and there is a lack of depth right now. And you can do this with pretty much every team. Though you say but like the Phillies are in a massive state of if Wheeler comes back and is that guy, and Luzardo is the guy that you think he can be, or that I think he can be, or we think he can be. And Sanchez has been established at this point where like this is what he is, and you can expect him to be an elite level, all-star level performer year in, year out. It's about as good as it gets. Obviously Los Angeles has the names and guys that can perform at a high level, but those 3, and then when you look at what they have in the back end, assuming that Nola comes back, assuming that Painter shows enough flashes, even if there's inconsistencies baked into that where he's a number 4, that's a pretty high-end number 4 type guy. Like that's where I know people listening to this hate the Phillies right now, that they're tired of the Phillies, that they're skeptical of the Phillies. But like when you look at the grand scheme of things, like let's just all say that we observe baseball for another 50 years in this city. There's not going to be many better situations than what they're entering with right now. Like that's the way I would invite people to look at this. Like I'm right there with everyone that kind of rolls their eyes and goes like, dude, Alec Boehm again, seriously? Like we're going to do this in the middle of the order? I understand it. But when you look at what has been and what is yet to come, I just don't think there's going to be maybe 5 years to 10 years max in the next 50 where you say like the 2042 Phillies were better than the 2026 Phillies. It's a good team.
Yeah, it is a good team. And when you look at the pitching staff, I mean, you go back to 2011, right? I mean, that staff. But how many other staffs in the history of this franchise are better than what you have now besides 2011? Like, I don't know. I don't know if there is one.
This is all obviously contingent upon Zach Wheeler returning, in a timely fashion also. Not that he has to be back May 1, but I actually would like to know what you think the timeline is, because he did talk. I'm sure you heard it and on social media and stuff. He met with, I guess it was the midday show on WIP. And he's like, I'm not going to say the target date publicly, but we have one. And at the end of his spiel, he said, I feel great. I know it's all encouraging right now. All signs point to progress and maybe being a little bit on the front side of a potential target. What are we thinking here?
Well, I think that there's a real possibility that it's the end of April. But if I had to guess what their target date is, I'm going to say May 15th.
Okay.
It's 6 weeks is what I kind of how I look at it. But I think if he has, everybody always wants to beat their expected timeline. So if he has a target date, I'm going to say it's the end of April. That way he'd beat it by about 2 weeks.
I don't want to get too far off the conversation before we come back to this. Just to say, Jesus Luzardo has the type of year that we're anticipating. Are you surprised at all that the Phillies? We don't know if they did or they didn't, but are you surprised that the Phillies didn't extend him now? And to what degree does the labor uncertainty play into that for both the player and the organization?
Probably both. Probably that. I think that it's that. I think the Phillies would and want to sign Luzardo, and I don't know. I get the sense that he would want to stay here. I mean, why would you want to chase money elsewhere when you're on one of the halves and you have a chance to win? A team that will pay you, and by the way, you have a chance to win. Like, there's only a couple other teams that you would consider, right, in that regard. But I do think that the economics of the sport will dictate that a little bit, because I don't know. I mean, if you're the player, are you taking a risk? Because if a salary cap is implemented, do you make less? Do you really believe that the salary cap won't come into play, and then all of a sudden teams have to spend a little bit after time off, and now I'll make more? Like, it's a gamble, I think, and obviously it's a gamble that you don't get hurt as well. But I do think that plays into it. I think
know you're dialed into the impending labor war here.
Oh, yeah.
I've been starting to educate myself at a pretty extensive level, and boy, like, I don't know. I know everyone's like, I don't see how you can implement a salary cap. I know a lot of smart people are sort of landing there, and I kind of keep coming back to the idea that I just don't know that. I don't know that baseball is going to settle for anything short of it. I really don't.
It's going to be a game of chicken. Who's willing to go out and hold that longer? Now, owners probably could, because they have A, more money, and B, they're not on a biological clock for what makes them, their money. Like, the athletes have to play within a certain time period of their life to make their money. They're not going to make millions of dollars in their 40s, right? They're got to do it now. And so you would think that the owners would have more time than the players. There has never been a group of people more together and opposed to the notion of something that's being negotiated into a professional sports contract than I think these baseball players are against a salary cap.
I know Bryce Harper said that he didn't expect the season to start on time. I certainly am not surprised by that. He said he did feel like that there would be baseball at some point next year. I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about it either. We might lose 27 entirely. So, and it's a shame, because, all of and I'm looking at our number right now, we have 1,154 eyeballs on us at the moment, which is great. I don't know how much we'll be talking baseball next year, because I'll tell you what, Bob, there's nothing worse. And I went through it in the NHL for an entire year. There's nothing worse than sitting around and constantly talking about the economics of a sport day in and day out.
Well, I remember back when I was, one of the 13 people on earth allowed into Citizens Bank Park during COVID. I was someone worth talking to at the time, because just that many people didn't know what was going on down there, right?
Right, yeah.
And I remember the run-up to that season starting, and people just asking, like, what do you think in terms of the negotiations? How are they going to do this? What will it look like? And I got sick of talking about that. It was unprecedented, and it was, America needed that sport to come back at that time.
Right.
But boy, I mean, it's going to be tough, because people are always going to try to boil it down to millionaires versus billionaires, but it goes so far beyond that here, and what's at stake in terms of what professional athletes look like and their labor unions look like moving forward. And it's going to be a mess. And it's going to be, I'll tell you what, the Phillies, each team, each individual roster has its own set of considerations and things at stake as a potential lockout materializes. But the Phillies are in a really interesting spot. Boy, if there's a team that can't really afford to lose a year on the field with the roster composed the way that it is, it's this team.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be. I mean, there was a question last year. Remember, we kept saying, Is this team, do they seem like they're all in? I don't know if they're all in, like the whole all in notion, right? I don't think there's ever been a year more set up to be an all in year than this year for the Philadelphia Phillies, because of your aging core, because you don't know what next season looks like. I think this is it. Like,
because even if you come back, right? Like, let's take the Harper theory and just apply it. Doesn't start on time. They do play. They play when? Starting June 20th, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, what does next season even look like? It becomes even more random than it already is.
Right. Exactly.
I just
exactly. And the other thing is like, Zach Wheeler comes back this year. That's fine. But does he pitch again after this year if that season's lost?
Well, you saw that too. I guess it was in response to a question from Joe Giglio, and he said, like, previously he was on the record that this would be it at the end of the contract, and he said, with the lockout, like, who knows? Like, it's up in the air. Right. And you do wonder. You wonder if he just says, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to rev it back up midway through 27. I don't need to go beyond 20. I don't know. I mean, he'll pitch next year if there's a season, but if they lock him out and they don't play in 27, after a year off at that age when you're already thinking about retirement,
right? That's what I'm saying.
That's a big piece of the puzzle.
Bryce is 33 this year. If they don't play next year, you're coming back at 35. It's just, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot that goes away, and a lot that could go south quick. Does Dave Dombrowski come back after this year if there's a lockout?
Do fans here want him to come back?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I mean, there could be wholesale change. Does Rob Thompson come back? Like, I mean, he's under contract through 27.
Here's a world in which, like, this season ends and you may see a very different team organization when it returns.
That's my point. So, like, I think that 26 has to be the all-in year.
It's really interesting that you bring that up, and it's just such a different way to look at it. Like, I think, view it through this lens of, like, can they finally get over the hump? Can they reverse the playoff misfortune of the past couple of years? And, like, that's all true, and that's the way I think we'll view most of these games as we discuss this season. But there's just this absolute unknown of what awaits, and I think that compounds the pressure and what's at stake here in this season. And that's why I don't think you can be like one of these people. It's like a call me in October. Like, if you're a call me in October guy right now with this team, like with this season, then you're not a baseball guy.
You're not a baseball fan. You're not. Sorry if you're butthurt to hear that, but you're not. Like, you have to enjoy this season because you may not have another one. Next year, right? You just have to, and go along with it. Go along for the ride. What do you make of the whole, and I know it's kind of a couple days old now and people have all talked about it, but I want to look at it from a different perspective with you. So the whole Johan Rojas thing, right? And this is weird, Bob, because you don't normally get the report of a failed test prior to the announcement of a suspension.
Yes.
Because, just for clarity for people, normally what will end up happening is a player will fail a test and they'll find out through the MLBPA, through their agency. It's not through a team, right? So it's done differently, right? The failed test does not, the team doesn't know until the league tells them, right? And so he has an opportunity to appeal it. And during the appeal process, he can continue to play, continue to do his thing, whatever. And so far, he has not been suspended by Major League Baseball. So Johan Rojas played the other day. He's actually in their lineup again today, Friday.
What does that tell you? I mean, what do you make of that? Do we think that there's a world in which there's some uncertainty here and that this, in fact, is not what is going to happen to him?
Look, here's what I think, Bob. I tend to give guys the benefit of the doubt, and if you want to fool me, then fool me. Jerickson Pro Farm me, right? I mean, like that's the kind of situation where it's like, oh, okay. I don't think that these are always the smartest. Like, these aren't the smartest people in the world, right? And so they're always looking for something that they can do, and sometimes they're taking a medication or something, and they should have checked and they didn't check. Like, there's whatever. So I want to give guys the benefit of the doubt until it comes back that they did something wrong. But I just find it weird that this is the third player in the last 10 months?
Yeah.
And it's actually probably a little bit less than that because Rojas failed an off-season test. So we don't know when that test occurred. It could have been.
Do we know for sure that he failed the test?
Well, yes. I mean, so the Dominican Republic basically told him he couldn't play for their World Baseball Classic team because they had been told about a failed test. They tried to
understand that, though. I mean,
they tried to hide it under personal reasons that it was why he was backing out.
Right.
And then somebody from the DR told a reporter.
So what does that look like from a Players Association Major League Baseball standpoint? Is there some gray area here where they're like, well, hold on, we're not even going to go forward with this and create the appeal process yet because we need to verify something about it? That's what I don't get.
No, so he has appealed. That much is known. So he has appealed the failed test. We have somebody down in spring training, Grace Del Piso's down there, and went over to ask him about it, and he refused to talk about it. So therefore, I would think if it wasn't true that
you should say it's not true. But
yeah.
We're the Phillies. Like, what? Let me ask you this: if this didn't happen, is he in their plans this season?
Well, so that's the thing, right? So I looked at Luzardo. I looked at Rojas and said, here's a guy who he has options left. He's not going to start on the team, even though technically I guess he's in the battle for the last spot on the roster. But you could put him down in AAA, play him every day in center field, and he's kind of like your insurance policy if Crawford doesn't work, right?
Well, this is the thing. You talk about who are the most important players on the team. Like, I look at it now and I go, okay, I don't know what his future is here and what it would have been without being suspended. But the Phillies really are quite thin.
Well, yeah,
who can go run around and play a competent center field?
That's the thing. It's a problem, and so is the other. If you want to talk, we talked about all the positives about why they're still one of the best teams in the league. The negatives are they have no outfield depth and they have no starting pitching depth. Like that, those are concerns. So if you have injuries or situations like this crop up and it knocks down there's nobody left. And so somebody asked me, I think it was when I was on 97.5. They asked me who's going to win the last job, get the last spot on the bench. And, Brian De La Cruz has had a decent spring so far. Maybe it's him, but he can't play center field anymore. Dylan Moore plays absolutely every position, but he can't hit, right? So maybe it's him. Pedro Leon was a guy that they signed. He can play center field, but he's not the greatest. And he's got other problems. I mean, he's very inconsistent. I don't know. You put him on. So I think that ultimately they're going to go get somebody else. That they're going to towards the end of camp. They're either going to make a small trade or sign a guy that gets waived or whatever to come in and be the depth center fielder. I just think they have to. They don't really have it in the organization right now.
Yeah, you have a situation with Jose Alvarado and his absence that very much hurt the team a year ago. And every situation is unique. Every situation I think you have to handle case-by-case basis, but certainly let the team down. The organization, I guess, did not feel that the situation warranted, given what he is and what he's capable of and how much of a talent he is. They felt like we're going to bring him back and make him a part of this thing next season, despite what happened. You reach a point with Johan Rojas, like whether the tension was there or not, or he's a bad guy or not, you just look at it and say, I know we're thin out there. And if we can house him beyond the suspension and have him as a break glass in case of an emergency guy, why wouldn't we do it? Because we know that he can help the team over the course of a season. You just say to yourself, this guy, come on, what are we doing here? And I don't know. And beyond that, do you look at this and say, do you put any blame on the organization? I mean, you said it. This is 3 times in 10 months, and whether or not it was ignorance or malicious or with malintent, three guys in 10 months is
I mean that's
a run.
Well, so it makes me wonder what the hell the Phillies are doing, with their guys. Are Are they not focused enough? Are they not in?
You look at this and say these are grown-ups. Like you know the deal. You've been educated on it, and like we can't surveil you 24/7.
I get it, but Max Kepler was a $10 million player. It's not like it's just some small potatoes guy. Jose Alvarado is making $9 million this year. We're not talking about guys who are just fringe players or minor leaguers. Sure, those guys I can understand how they slip through the cracks. You don't have as much of an investment in them. But when you're investing the kind of money that the Phillies are investing in their major league roster, I would think that every one of those players you have to be on top of them. You have to know exactly what they're doing, exactly what's going into their bodies at all times. Obviously, Alvarado's in Venezuela or whatever, and Rojas is in the Dominican. Like, you can't have a supervisory person with them like every day of their lives. I get it. They can make decisions on their own and not tell you, and you just got to throw your hands up like, what the hell? We can't do anything about it. But at the same time, you would think that they would be so much more on top, and even more so, Bob, once it happens to Alvarado, don't you everything doesn't the
yeah, but I think we're looking at through like from a standpoint of the fans or the standpoint of the organization. Like, don't you have to know better? Don't you have to be careful? But and again, do we know what Max Kepler did or took or why he failed?
No, we don't.
And we certainly don't know with Rojas. I think we always think that it's like a Balco situation, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
About the cream, the clear, like the whole deal, right? Like, we don't know what these guys failed for or are failing for. I just look at it and say, like, if I were an athlete and I were Johan Rojas and I was gifted an opportunity and I failed at it, like, let's be clear here. Johan Rojas stinks. Like, he does. I'm sorry, everybody. Johan Rojas stinks. He's a decent defensive center fielder who I think regressed, actually, from what he was when he first came up, and he can't hit, and he's not going to hit. He's never going to hit.
Bob, can we get the center field sound one last time?
I hope that's it. I hope we don't have to do this again. I think that the guy in center field, by the way, like, just talking about center field real quick, I've been impressed with how he's played center field defensively. We'll see what happens when he comes up here later this month, and it counts. But I've actually been impressed with Justin Crawford in center field. I will say, if I'm Johan Rojas, I go, I'm not good enough. Like, you find some incremental way forward. That could be the difference between him being a Major League Baseball player or not. Max Kepler, I don't know how many more contracts that guy was going to get. Yeah. So maybe I got to roll the dice here. I'm a 218 hitter who stinks. Like, can I prolong this thing another 3 years if I do something that I might get away with? Like, can I fault them from a human level? I guess I can, but like,
you can understand the difference, right? And look, and the last thing
Jose Alvarado, I don't know what the hell Jose Alvarado is doing. But.
Yeah, well, I mean, he could have just been stupid, like he was trying to do a weight loss thing. I mean, he showed up having lost weight last year, so maybe that he thought it was working, right? Whatever.
I got a Peloton bike, and I ride it 5 times a week. I lost 10 pounds. Like, there you go. That's all you got to do, buddy.
The one last thing I really want to say about this, as far as from Rojas's perspective, is, and this is why I think it's stupid to do something like this. Not that it's not never stupid, but I'm saying it's even more stupid in this case. Like, I kind of got the sense that the Phillies would have rather he not have agreed to play for the Dominican in the World Baseball Classic, for the very reason that Dominican team's pretty loaded, right? I mean, they could well win the World Baseball Classic. They might be the best team. And I think it's either them or the U.S. I mean, Japan's good too, but I think it's either U.S. or Dominican Republic. What was his role going to be on that team? Right, defensive replacement pinch runner. I mean, let's just be honest. Right? I mean, he was not going to be in their lineup, right? So if you're the Phillies and you look at it and say, I understand you want to play for your country. I get it. Like, they have 11 guys who are.
I know. And if you're Johan Rojas, your career's at an absolute like breaking point here.
Right.
Like, what if you want to be in camp? And I hear you.
And then this happens on top of it. Like, that's why I think that this is as stupid can get, because you're already in a position where
they're playing him though.
Yeah, well,
right? So that's there's got to be something more to this that we don't know, because they're still playing. Because everything you said, I totally agree with. Like,
well, I think they're playing him just because they can. right now. And then if he gets
Suck up
suspended,
some meaningless innings, like just to give the other guys a blow and go whatever.
Yeah, I mean, well, they don't have another center fielder, really.
Yeah.
Crawford can't play every game. They don't want him playing every day in camp, right? So Rojas is getting the other games. Rojas is going on the trips, right? They're not sending Crawford on the trips. They're in Bradenton today. It's not that Bradenton's far. It's, an hour, right? But Crawford gets to stay back. All right, Johan, you get on the bus. But the thing of it is that, like, if you're in that situation where you're fighting for your job with the team that you play for, and you're choosing to be the 28th guy on a World Baseball Classic team that's never going to play, over playing every day in spring training to try and get a job, and oh, by the way, now you're taking PEDs and get caught, like you're sabotaging your own career, I think, in a lot of ways. Like, that's why I think it's stupid. More stupid than somebody else who would take a PED, who's trying to do it for, I'm established and I'm trying to, heal faster. I'm trying to hang on in Max Kepler's case, or whatever, trying to lose weight. Whatever the rationale is, it doesn't make sense for Johan Rojas.
It is a valid conversation. I think it's one that we should have. I also would be totally fine never talking about Johan Rojas on the show ever again. Yeah, I'm serious. He stinks. He's not good enough.
Right. Yeah, he does.
Let this be the end of it.
Agree. Are you in for the World Baseball Classic? You're going to be watching these games?
I'm in. I sent you a screenshot the other night. I was watching Australia.
Yeah.
It happened. I'm in. I think I'm in even more so because I am riding the momentum of the Olympics a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that these guys are amped up for it. It's easy too when you have Schwarber and Harper hitting in the top half of a lineup. It makes it very interesting for me for the U.S. perspective. I'm not going to consume every inning and live and die by it, but I'm in.
Yeah. I'll get home tonight from Voorhees after the trade deadline and writing about it, whatever, talking about it to everybody. And I'll put on that U.S.-Brazil game, and hopefully it's still going on by the time I put it on, because there is a mercy rule. And this might be the most lopsided matchup in baseball history.
Yeah, I see that they're even money to win it. I mean, it's
but is there any kind of crazy line on the game itself against Brazil? Brazil's got high school kids playing, Bob. They got high school kids playing against Bryce Harper and Kyle.
The one thing with this tournament, it is very top heavy. That's the one thing I will say about the tournament. It's not exactly like a gauntlet. Like if you're not the U.S. or if you're not the Dominican Republic,
there's three teams. Puerto Rico's and Venezuela battle for fourth. But it's three teams. That's it.
Let me see. Can I find the World Baseball Classic?
I'm just curious if you can bet on anything specific to this game between the U.S. and Brazil.
Sure.
Because it's so crazily lopsided.
Well, the money line is minus 6,000 for the U.S.
So you got to bet $100 to win. I mean, $6,000 to win $100.
Yes. You also have an over/under of 14.
Okay.
And there's actually a spread. There's a run line. Do you care to guess what it is?
9.
9.5.
Yeah, I had to guess that because the only reason I guessed 9 was because there's a 10-run rule. So if you get up 10-0 and it's the fifth inning, the game's over.
9.5. Logan Webb versus Bo Takahashi.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. 8 p.m. start time.
Yeah.
And you got Christopher Sanchez on the mound for the Dominican Republic against I don't even know who they play, but yeah, he's playing.
Yeah.
So he's on the mound.
The only thing I'm not excited about, Bob, is I know we hyped it up that the Americans got all the pitchers now. Oh, Skubal's going to pitch and Skeens is going to pitch. Skubal's pitching one game and it's against Great Britain.
Yeah.
Come on. I get it, and I'm glad that they're buying in, but it still leaves a little something to be desired for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's definitely buy-in and want to, but it's not at its purest form. Like, here's our best. Here's your best. Let's go get it.
Exactly. Hey, I got to run, so I got one last thing for you.
Yes.
So yesterday there was a lot of crazy scores in spring training play around Major League Baseball. But did you see what happened with the San Diego Padres?
I did not. No, I did not.
They beat the Seattle Mariners yesterday 27-5. The Mariners threw 9 pitchers. All 9 pitchers got tagged. They didn't have one pitcher who got out of that thing unscathed. The Padres had 27 runs before they had 27 outs.
Dear God. I'm actually, as we're talking here, I'm trying to pull up the box score.
Yeah.
15-0 Twins Yankees. That's in 7 innings.
Yeah, I know. I think they had 8 guys with multi-hit games in that game.
28 hits they had. Holy smokes.
Our boy Nick Castellanos had 2 hits in that game. He's had a good start.
He's had a good spring. Yeah, he was 2 for 3. He's hitting 316 with a 988 OPS thus far. Would you be surprised if he goes out there and has like a pretty good year, like hits 280 and OPS over 800? Would you?
Yeah, no, I think he would. I don't think he's going to be an everyday player for them. I think he's going to be situational. But do I think Nick Castellanos?
Does he have a better year than his replacement?
I mean, it depends on when you say better year, are we talking – because I think Nick Castellanos is going to get 350 plate appearances for the Padres. And so could he potentially have a better OPS, better batting average?
How about WAR? How about in terms of wins above replacement?
No, because Garcia will get the defensive WAR benefit, right? So no, I think Garcia will be better based on WAR.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Castellanos can have a good batting average OPS year? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I'm looking at this 12 runs. They didn't score in the first, though.
No, I know. They 12 runs in the second.
They scored in every inning after that, and they had 20 by the end of the 5th, and then they kept going. So.
They hit anybody Seattle put in. It was they.
You ever see that Simpsons meme with Ralph Wiggum where it's like, "Stop, he's already dead." And
yeah.
I got to get out of here.
Could you imagine what it was like sitting in that ballpark for that game yesterday?
You're just there for the weather.
Yeah, I know, right? All right. Anyway, that'll be it for us here on Fighting Words. Thanks for tuning in. Next week we'll be back with me from spring training, where I will talk to you, give you my first-hand perspective of all things that are going on with the Phillies. Don't forget to subscribe to Fighting Words on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. Best place right here on YouTube. If you're listening in the podcast feed, you want to find us on YouTube, it's youtube.com/@FightingWords. For Bob Wankel, I'm Anthony Sanfilippo saying thanks for tuning in, everyone. And I'm going to go cover the NHL trade deadline. See you.